Hello, lovelies, and welcome to the stream. I am Mama Maggie Ward, independent author, stroke survivor, migraine sufferer. Well, migraine overcomer. That's what I'm claiming for 2025 because I am getting really, really sick of this year, and I would like to cancel my subscription.
We're only 2 months in. You're not allowed to cancel that subscription yet.
Here is the middle with the mostest. This is my lovely Mara, the dramatic Mara. To those of you who are my Inkit fans, you know her. She is my co-creator for the Relic of Time Wars and Pagosa Cliff series, my beta reader, my editor, and the middle. So yeah, everyone say hello. And so we have a lot to show you today. First of all, we're going to start off with this is the cover for Light of Jura, and one of the things that you learned in the last book is that they have a space station over. Well, actually, swords. It was 3 books ago that you learned about the space station. Sierra Station.
Yep.
Was created to basically monitor for dark energy detection. That's basically why it was created. But then they put this thing called a light cannon on it. And they figured out how to store different types of magical, what is considered magic energy, but to our physicist Daisy, it's just energy. But since her frequency of energy damages things that are contaminated with the dark energy or dark magic, she basically built the human colony, which is Jura. She basically built them a space-bound cannon to be able to fire on places where there are intrusions. So, and then another thing is that we have the ship gates, and it talks about the ship gates and being able to rapidly move between systems, because even if you have a faster than light speed, part of the it takes time to travel between places. So this basically is a cheat. It's basically an interdimensional cheat code. So they're basically like folding through another dimension back out of the overworld into another dimension and then popping out back in the overworld. So yeah, it's the principle of a tesseract. 2 places that are distant can touch if you can fold the space. So yeah. And there's a really cool battle scene in the previous book where one of the gates is open and you can actually see the 2 planets on either side of it with the dimension in between can actually see the other planet. So yeah, I worked on this image. I was really, really happy with it. This is an image from the very first battle that happens in it. Moira uses her rifle to target an enemy base, and then the light cannon basically fires on the base and destroys all of the enemy that are there. So yeah, it was, you know me, I love sci-fi. One of the other things that you find out about Jura is Jura was a world that was harvested by the shadows in the past. There are no higher animals on the planet. It's all plants. The whole planet it has no animals. It has no insects. It is just plants that have survived the planet being harvested multiple times. And Jura has 2 small moons called the egg and the seed. And then it has a larger moon that is actually a moon that's been cracked in half, and the 2 pieces continue. They're spacing out from each other, but they rotate around each other as they travel along. So they call them the tumbling twins. And but they chose this world because Jura, it had no animals, it had no population. So when the human colonies were seeking refuge, the Aetherians were like, we have a entire planet. And so they basically, they offered the humans 6 different planets. And this was one of the planets. And they ended up putting the genetically revived dinosaurs that Cretaceous Creatures Inc. had created basically just to see if they could do, all the way back in Cretaceous Conspiracy when they were reviving the dinosaurs. And all of those animals ended up, and their progeny ended up being moved to Jura before the harvest of Terra Earth. So it's very much like a Terra Nova situation where the humans live in walled compounds and the Genosaurs are just allowed to roam free. And Sarah, that was Mara's idea. She liked the idea of the Genosaurs being able to just wander around, and the humans being the ones in the cages.
Pretty much, because it's like these Genosaurs, they're so big, and humans are very used to living in compact spaces. Look at apartment complexes. Look at New York. High density population over a very small amount of space. So it makes sense to give them that larger area to just roam.
Yeah, so we had a lot of fun creating these different just images for this book. I put pencil drawings. Oh, this is the ships moving through the gates. This is the basically the gate of the Devourer. This is a representation of it. This is the rift that the Devourer's nebula is a pocket dimension, and it basically moves like through space and opens up and harvests all these different worlds. And this is kind of what it looks like. I imagine that it looks like when it opens, and then it sends out tendrils of dust to basically claw the outside of the planet to harvest all the biomass. So pretty scary thing.
It's like, isn't that the picture from the web?
James Webb, yeah, that's one of that.
Okay.
Well, it's an image from the James Webb that I combined with another image.
Yeah, because I just looked it up because I was like, that's really familiar, actually. And I was like,
Yeah,
oh.
That was the image from the James. That was one of the images from the James Webb of the Columns Nebula. Okay. All right. Let me pull up the screen. Let me pull up the other thing so I can start reading. I said in the clip that I was going to read the first chapter, which will give you a lot of the backstory stuff, because it basically, Darcy and Yuri end up going on a date. Oh, well, first I should probably read the blurb.
Yeah.
And the prophecy that goes with this book. So if you've been reading the books, you know several of the books have specific prophecies from the oracles that go with them. And the prophecy that goes with this book is, the guardian goeth to the light, the peacekeeper cometh from the light. For the sake of the light and love, the guardian shall return at the dawn of darkness to fight against the rebirth of the one to bring the end. And what they're talking about is Caleth's death that happened in the last book, and the upcoming Kaelin's birth, his last child's birth. Daisy is pregnant with Kaelin, and they're just waiting on the baby to be born. And it was a lot of struggle. It was a lot of struggle for Daisy to lose Caleth. All right, the blurb is, Dr. David Zhang, the Maisoni, Moira Garrett, and Vol Barent's son of Valent struggle to keep the colony secure from spies as ever-increasing discord is sown by the Shadows, who are determined to undermine the fledgling alliance after the greatest disaster in human history. Assassin Jaguar, Darcy Weber, treads a thin path between ally and spy for both sides. She knows her lord will come for Jura because Prince Damien Neimad wants Jura for more than the nostalgia of his childhood and the Genosaurs that roam there. He wants it for the overworld capital of his kingdom. Rejecting Huntsman Yuri of Adamos, Darcy hopes playing both sides will give her best friend, the pregnant Dr. Daisy Kane, High Lady of Adamos and the War Oracle of the Aetherians, time to finish building and charging the weapons against the Dark Dust Dimension. Living on Jura and strengthening their defenses, Daisy continues to work toward victory over Damien, not realizing the greatest threat to her family lives inside someone she trusts. So yeah, there we go. That's the blurb. And I'm going to go ahead and read chapter 1. Chapter 1 is called An Evening Out. Looking at the message from the War Oracle's spy, Darcy Weber, the Huntsman Yuri of Adamos took the coarse suit he wore to the only red charity ball on Terre Earth 3 years ago. It had hung in his closet in the southern castle of Adamos since the evacuation of Terre Earth. Putting it on, he tugged at the sleeves and resisted stretching against the tight shoulders of the jacket. He turned, studying his reflection in the mirror. He bulked up since then, but the suit still fit. If he needed to fight, he would probably ruin it. Taking off the jacket, he folded it carefully and put it and the formal shoes that went with the suit in a pack. He put on his duster-styled huntsman's coat over his clothes. Heading to an unregistered portal to Gaia, Yuri stepped out into an abandoned house. He was not surprised to see it had been vandalized further and wondered how much longer the portal would remain hidden. The whole area of Central City near the power plant was mostly abandoned. Darcy still kept an apartment here in a building she owned. She was quietly moving all the families to Jura for their safety. The citizens of the Gaia colony behaved like the lower classes of the former kingdom of Zalusia. They only wanted for leisure and pleasure and cared not about working. To fund their lifestyles after a tax on orb was announced and their free rent stipend was suspended, many resorted to criminal activities, while those who were considered the wealthy elite pandered to Damien to keep their power and influence. As he slipped through the streets, he watched those who were addicted to the dark magic intoxicant orb. They wandered and staggered, accosting each other, but very few bothered to look at him more than once because of his size. Getting on the train, he swiped a card. No one rode in the train with him, as the high-speed train carried him over 100 fields or kilometers east to New Angeles. He changed from his boots and coat to the formal shoes and jacket of the suit. Looking at his reflection in the window, he used an enchanted comb Shads had made for the huntsman to make his Aetherian ears disappear. The glamour would only last a few hours, but it would keep him from being recognized as an Aetherian. Drops turned his eyes from pewter gray to dark blue. When the train stopped at the New Angeles station, he left his bag in a locker, then walked to the reserved train going to Mountain Haven and swiped his card to be let on. Several more people in formal wear got on, including Darcy. She looked at him and smiled. Her eyes, widening slightly, was the only hint of her surprise. Her long red dress was slit to her hip and the draped back, revealing she wore nothing underneath it. Her wig reminded him of the way Irini's hair once looked, fiery auburn curls that reached her mid-back. "I didn't think you'd make it," she murmured as a zombie wearing makeup to look more alive passed with a tray of champagne flutes. The shift in the maglev train as it accelerated was barely noticeable. It was much smoother than the usual trains. He took a drink for each of them and handed one to her. "You called and I came. I know I have much to make up for." She reached up and brushed her fingers over his ear under his slightly long hair. I can feel it, but I can't see the tip. Shad's made these for me and my students, so we seem less like us, he explained. Does it itch? She waved her hand around before she continued, so I could look like my bestie. It felt like bugs were crawling on me. I admit I have the urge to scratch them. He smirked, then schooled his expression as a woman he recognized walked up to them. Miss Smith, she said, but she only looked at Yuri. Darcy pivoted with a cool glare. Chairwoman Sansui. Who is your friend? She held out her hand. I'm Bernadette. Yuri kissed it, as was the human custom, then glanced at Darcy. He could feel the darkness in Bernadette, but not a shadow. I would say it was a pleasure, ma'am, he drawled with the accent he learned from Cord. Oh, you're from the Meridian system. Are you enjoying your visit to Gaia? Bernadette asked with a smile. Will you be moving here? You seem familiar, Mr. Smith. I am only here for the party and to meet with my nephew, he answered without smiling back, giving the surname Darcy used. Excuse us, we have arrived. Darcy smirked over the lip of her champagne flute as she finished it. Someone called the chairwoman before she could reply. She narrowed her eyes at them, then she turned and walked away. Darcy took Yuri's arm when the train stopped. He walked her out, and they moved with the crowd up the steps from the private stop. Bernadette kept glancing at Yuri like she was trying to figure out if she knew him. He was glad he now wore a trim beard and wasn't clean-shaven as he had been at Asha's joining ceremony when he and Moira sat behind the Gaian delegation. The lavish, modern mansion was all glass windows and marble rectangles surrounded by mountain views. It reminded Yuri of the northwestern castle in location. As they walked through the front door, Yuri scowled slightly, then shook his head. Darcy answered his unanswered question. It would be great if I could speak. No, there isn't a security system or even any protection enchantments. He believes no one would dare enter his home without his permission. Along the walls were paintings and sculptures by some of the most famous artists in Terra's history. Yuri was certain he had seen many of them in museums. They lingered, going to a side room as everyone went into the main rooms and dining area. Music from a string quartet filled the house. This is Damien's private collection. Darcy walked to a bust of Damien with short, wavy hair and ran her hand over the sculptured hair. And a reminder of his many lives. To be honest, my lord loves his art as much as he loves music and murder. Is this from his life as Gaius Caesar? No, Nero. Ah. Daisy told me after the evacuation of Atlantia, Damien revived in Roman times. He lived as several Roman emperors, starting as Gaius Julius Caesar and Nero Claudius. He was the reason for the Nero Redivitus, or Nero Revives legends. He went from noble ruler to the monster of Rome in only 2 lifetimes. Yuri revealed what Daisy discerned and verified through several uses of the Relic of Time. She's not wrong. She once asked him why he went from being a good ruler, legal advocate, and devoted husband and father back to a homicidal conqueror. He made some excuse about trying to live Kars's life and being betrayed. Her trembling hand flexed, and she looked like she wanted to slap the marble likeness. Turning away, Darcy wandered over to look at a first edition printed book called Modern Prometheus in a glass case. If you ever want to know anything about his past lives, it's all in this one room. She tapped the glass. This is from his life as Dr. Damien Stein von Franks. It is truth presented as fiction, but it did show him the power of manipulating the printed word and later all media. Why did you ask me here, Darcy? Yuri asked, looking at an old sepia print of Damien in a suit and tall hat, with a stout man wearing glasses and a thick mustache. They were holding what Yuri assumed were the precursors of modern rifles. A buffalo lay dead in front of them, a large bear on one side, and a pair of cougars on the other side. He remembered Ezra telling him about the president who created the National Parks Service. He trespassed in your house and blew it up. I figured you might like to know where to go to return the favor. She glided over to a case filled with fossils with the lilting walk of a cat. He has influenced politicians and industrialists for hundreds of years, but he was also responsible for creating and preserving areas for wildlife, funding scientific research, and establishing schools. She sighed. He controls everything on this world, everything that lives and breathes. He's always been power hungry, but never insane. He just does things to see if he can and doesn't worry about the consequences of his actions. He's turning this world and everything he influences into hell just because he can. He will kill everyone who lives here when he gets bored with his kingdom, and then he will come for Jura. Where is he? He's not here. I can't feel him, Yuri revealed as his magic shimmered in his eyes. I don't know, but I knew he wouldn't be here until the very late. He hates these events as much as I do. He just holds them to pander to the egos of those he would just as soon kill as speak to. He walked over to her, placing his hand on the small of her back. Do you wish to leave? I can't. He ordered me to be here and to wear blood red. That means I will be killing someone later, Darcy revealed as she turned and looked up at him. Her fingers straightened his lapel as she had seen Daisy do with Caliph. It was surprisingly easy to show casual affection to Yuri, to pretend that she still held him in her heart. Does this person deserve their death? He asked in a low voice as he bent his lips toward her. Every person here deserves their death, including you and I, she whispered before they kissed. Thank you, Esther. Thank you for coming by.
Somebody decided to join us.
So yeah, this is talking this whole thing, this whole going to Damien's party is just basically to walk people into this world and just how much of a problem through history Damien has been. Hello, Gizmo. Hello, Gizmo. Gizmo. Oh, he's looking at Dad. Does Dad have food? Maybe. Gizmo. Omi loves her Gizmo. This is my grandpup, by the way.
Yeah, he hopped up into my lap, and I'm like, okay, cool. He's just jumping up here to say hi, and then he just fully climbed onto the computer, and I was like, well, I guess this is where we're at. Hi.
Yep, he just wants attention because Omi loves him so much.
He really does just want the attention.
And he's used to Omi reading to him. That's another thing.
Yeah. He heard it, and he immediately was locked in. Oh, he's a good boy. Look how happy he is.
Yeah, he's so happy.
My good boy climbing on the desk. I need to move this keyboard out of the way so I can sit on the desk.
He's a good boy.
Glory.
I need to go. Is that page 70?
There you go, Kimmy.
All right.
Oh, are you not gonna sit on the desk like you were going to?
He needs butt scratches.
Doesn't need the butt scratches.
The butt scratches. Yeah, he's a good boy.
He's a good boy. Good boy. Good dog. He's a good boy. He's a good boy. Yes.
So what do you think about the fact that we are now over 1 million words in this series that started off as a 30,000 word fan fiction based on a music video and Jorge's
series?
Yeah.
That's crazy to think about. You take this nice little project that's like just this basically fun little fanfic to like help you get your writing back, and it turns into over 1 million words and 11 books.
Yeah. We still have 3 more. We still have Darkness of the Devourer, The Shadow Hunt, and The Huntsman's Hope after this.
Yep. We still do.
And then Dawn of the Devourer, if I ever get it written.
Well, he's made his home. He has sat his butt on the desk.
Hello, boyo. Yeah.
So, guys, this is the rest of the stream as I don't get my camera.
Yeah. How does it feel knowing that when we watched the Centuries parody and you asked me to tell you a story about the little boy that you see for like 5 seconds running with an iron golem?
Okay, you might see him for maybe 30 seconds. It wasn't that short.
But yeah, it's just like really the short little thing, and you just see him and you were like, write me a story about the little boy. And because you were the one that started the whole series.
I was the one to start the whole series. And it's amazing to just see it this big now. Like, I would have never imagined it to get this big. Oh, Bubby. The Bubby boy, like sitting on the desk. Don't tell his daddy.
Now, do you realize we've been working on this book since 2015? Since literally 6 months after my
decade old.
Since 6 months after my stroke in April 2015. That we have been working. We've been working on this book and expanding and filling in. Hello, ML. Welcome to the stream.
Hello. God. Hi.
This is my middle Mara, and my grand
dog. My grand dog.
Gizmo, you're so obnoxious.
He's in love. He's in love.
Okay, so which of the characters in the entire series is your favorite?
That's a loaded question.
First, which would be your favorite and which would be your least favorite?
Oh, the creep, Sebastian. He's my least favorite.
That's Huntsman Sebastian.
Yeah. Favorite. Favorite. Darcy's really good.
Darcy?
Darcy's yeah. Are you okay, Gabriel?
Moira used to be your favorite, but then the more I expanded Darcy's character, the more you liked her.
Yeah, I definitely became a big fan of Darcy. You? All right, buddy, you gotta come off the desk. I'm scratching this one spot, and he's just here Come here. Yep, back into mommy's lap.
Yeah.
No, you can't be up there. You can't be up there. This is what happens because you spend too much time with your cats.
Okay, yeah, he was extremely jealous of the cats being able to get up on things.
Really? I can't tell. I really can't tell at all. Like, he has never done this before.
Lies! All the lies!
Oh my goodness. Gizmo.
Okay. If there was one event in the previous parts of the series that you could change, what would that be?
You can't mess with time.
Hmm?
You can't mess with time. That's how we ended up with a bad ending on one of the few we saw.
Consequences of messing with time?
You can't mess with time.
Yeah.
The book series is how it is because that's how we've written it to happen.
Yeah.
Yes, we can easily go through and change it, but like,
well, there's at the end of Relic of Time and Prophecies, you see the consequences of tampering with time.
Yeah.
And then again in the Dauntless Deception, you see the consequences of tampering with time.
Like, we're given several examples of why not to mess with time.
Of what goes wrong with time. And then, of course, you see what happens when you have to fix time. Like,
yeah,
in the very beginning of the very first book, you see Daisy rescuing Davin on the day he was born because the shadows went back to try to murder him. And through the entirety of the Shadow Hunt, it's basically going to be the Aetherians trying to keep the timeline the way it's supposed to be. So
yeah, they're basically just trying to maintain it as much as possible.
Yeah. If there was one character you could bring back, who would that be?
I can't answer that question. I know too much.
You wouldn't want to bring Ezra back?
I can't answer that question because I know too much.
If there was one character you could kill earlier, who would that be?
What if we just killed Sebastian earlier? Let's just keep pushing that back.
What would happen to Sangreal then? Sangreal still needed a body.
I can't say that either. Like, there's somebody else he can take over. Then I'm like, wait a minute, hold on. I need to watch my mouth first. I can't spoil anything because I know it's the very end of the series.
Okay, then. Do you want me to read another section? Or I know you had a 12-hour day today, so.
Yeah. Pretty much. Got some quals done.
Yeah.
Got through it pretty well. So it was a day. I'll say that much.
It was a day.
I'm ready to be home. I don't want to do 18 more months of this. I'm ready to be home.
Yeah, well. Soon. How do you feel about the fact that between the book launch today and the book launch on the 13th for The Wild and Enemy, that the two series that we've
my two favorite series
that you and I have been involved in for this whole time, that we are now over 2 million words.
That's honestly wild to think about. Is that we've been is that we've done 2 million words. Of you
I mean, I've written them.
editing.
You've edited them. Bubby, nobody wants to see your butt. Yeah.
Thanks, bud. Appreciate the love.
He's a good boy.
He wants to be up here. He hears only and thinks, I'm going to get an egg.
All right.
Him and Chris are having a stare off right now. Just husband versus dog. Oh, do you want to go to dad? You want to go to daddy? All right. The power of the father. Yeah, I have a desk again.
Yay.
That I totally didn't clear off so he could have a spot to sit on the desk.
We don't spoil our animals.
No, they are well loved.
They are well loved.
The pets will forever be well loved. They deserve every ounce of it.
Okay. Well, thank you everybody for coming to the stream for the launch. Sorry it's not all like bells and whistles and everything. Just it's been a really long day for both of us, and yeah.
We're tired. We want to take a nap.
Yes, a nap.
Oh no, I'm gonna go make myself probably a burrito and go crash because Mama to help my husband make smothered burritos for the coming back early from an underway. I thought I wasn't gonna have Valentine's Day, but I do get Valentine's Day. So he made smothered burritos for us too, and he made it in the portion of for 5 people instead of 2.
I can't tell people. I can't.
Perfect. There's no downside to it. It's been eating burritos for 3 days now, and I'm so happy.
I can't tell people how to cook small portions. I'm sorry.
It's so good. I have no idea how happy I was to have that. It's just
not called overcooking. It's called meal prep.
It's not called overcooking. It's called meal prep.
It is called meal prep. That's
meal
it.
Prep. That is literally meal prep. Is overcooking.
That's it. That'll work. Okay. All right, we're going to go. Thank you very much for joining us for the launch stream of the 11th book in the Relic of Time War series.
We're almost to the end. Almost to the end.
Please check out my page, the link below. The Huntsman of Adamos prequel is up as part of this, and then all 11 books. And yeah, I'll see you guys on the 13th for the launch of the Wild and Enemy.
Bye.